July 13th will, of course, be a very interesting fight, as Jaron Boots Ennis will make his homecoming appearance against David Avanesyan. Of course, this was supposed to be Boots versus Crowley, which would have been a much better fight, but David Avanesyan did step up, so obviously, congrats on him to saving the event, obviously. But there's another fight that's happening, which is a little interesting because people are talking about it in a certain way. That, of course, is the return of Pistol Pete, Peter Dobson, as he will be taking on the undefeated knockout artist Jalil Major Hackett. Now, of course, that one is the one we're going to be talking about first, as they are saying this will be another version of Gabriel Maestre versus Trayvon Marshall, which we'll talk about, of course, as, we'll compare and contrast these fights, right? But of course, the B side, Peter Dobson is 16-1 with 9 wins by way of knockout, 56% knockout ratio, decently power puncher. Of course, he is coming off of his unanimous decision loss against Conor Benn, where I'm gonna say it right here, I do not agree with the scorecards. I watched it, and don't get me wrong, Conor Benn 100% sweep the first 5 rounds easy. You could easily make an argument for that he won basically all of them. But after that, Dobson did not win just 2 rounds. He won at least 4 in my scorebooks, maybe even 5 if you want to go that far. Conor Benn obviously got tired because, he couldn't knock out Peter Dobson. But we'll talk about that later, as Jalil Hackett is 8-0 with 7 wins by way of knockout. Seem a bit familiar? That's right, only one person has ever gone decision with them, and that was the 1-2-1 Darren Leva. Now, of course, as they're saying, this is referencing the Maestre versus Marshall fight, as Maestre, at the time before fighting Marshall, was 5-0 with 1 draw, with 4 wins by way of knockout. Now, of course, people did think that Maestre did lose the Michael Fox fight, and of course, after that, he went split decision draw with someone. But we'll talk about that later. Is this going to be another version of it? Probably not. I mean, Dobson is not young anymore. He is 34. So obviously he is maybe starting to age. But he's only has 17 fights. So, very easily the aging won't start until later. But when you compare, I would assume they're assuming Dobson is Marshall and Hackett is Maestre, which makes sense. Both of them only have one person ever go decision with them, and both of them had under 10 fights under their belt, right? But when you look at Dobson's opponents, he has fought way better opponents than Marshall has. He had more fights, and he's fought better people. He has beaten a 16-0 fighter, a 7-0 fighter for his undefeated. Of course, Ismael LeBron counts, but he was a debut. While Marshall, his best opponent was a 3-0 fighter. Well, at least that was his undefeated opponent. The best record was a 19-5 fighter, who Peter Dobson's was a 19-3 fighter, 10-3. Obviously, he's fought the better opponents than Marshall. Well, of course, the other side, obviously Maestre and Hackett, is something very different. Now, of course, if you look at the Hackett and Maestre opponents, you compare them side by side. Unfortunately for Hackett, Maestre's opponents are significantly better. His first opponent was a 20-0 fighter, 27-5, 16-4, 22-2, 27-7, and 8-0. Obviously, quite a bit of winning opponents. Now, of course, you could take it with a grain of salt, considering some of them are coming off of kind of some streak of losses, some wins, and all that stuff, right? Basically, they started to lose, if you know what I mean. Hackett, on the other hand, his best win is a 12-1 with 1 draw, Adrian Gutierrez, 3rd round stoppage. But before that, 6-7, 3-3, 2, 4-8, 1, 4-0, 1-2. Obviously, not even close to Maestre. But then again, Maestre is he's an Olympian. We're not here to shame him. It's only 8 fights. You're not supposed to fight all these opponents like Maestre has, considering I don't think he is an Olympian. I don't think so. But he has been starting to step up in competition. Obviously, 12-1, moving up to a 16-1 fighter. Now, of course, the one thing about it is simple. Peter Dobson is a humongous step up. Everyone knows that. And this will be the fight that really shows whether or not Hackett has either the power or the skill to really compete. Of course, ratings as much as early on in the career doesn't really matter as much, considering most of the time they go up anyways, but he's ranked number 127. Dobson, on the other hand, ranked number 60. Basically, half, right? But the one problem with it is, unlike Mastery has gone the distance. He has gone 12 rounds before, I think twice. Or at least, no, he went 12 rounds and 10 rounds, right? And Marshall was never truly tested. You know, you see Marshall's record. Dobson beats him, obviously, in terms of records. And Dobson has lost to a fast, quick power puncher in Conor Benn. So he has been tested. His chin has been tested and has passed, kind of, a little bit, right? Because this is post-eggs Ben, right? He no longer eats eggs, obviously. And before the Dobson fight, he fought Orozco, Conor Benn, and he went the distance with him. And everyone's saying, damn, his power is gone. And then you realize Orozco was also doping. So you have to take that with a grain of salt, whether or not he has power or not. We might need to see the next fight, because it could be Dobson and Orozco just have granite chins. And then the next guy he actually knocks out, but we'll have to wait. But after that, Dobson looked bad in the Conor Benn fight, even though I thought he won way more rounds than 2. What the hell was they thinking, right? Is because Conor Benn, although he no longer had the jaw-dropping power like he had before, he had the insanely fast speed and counter ability that, well, he always had, you know. But Hackett, he is very powerful, he is very strong, and he's a good he's a good body puncher, which he will need against Dobson, because Dobson's chin has been tested. Whether or not his body's been tested, now that's a different story. Hackett's not as fast as Conor Benn, nowhere near as fast. Now, of course, is Dobson going to try to fight in between the punches? Probably not. He's going up against an 8-0, 7 knockout fighter, and you don't do that type of stuff. Maybe he will, especially because he went the distance with Conor Benn. Maybe he thinks his chin can take it, or maybe he will allow risks. But this will be a 10-round fight. And Hackett, the longest distance was his one decision win, and that was 4 rounds. And although he did win with flying colors, it was against a 1-2 in one fighter. So, not really a lot to go off of. So, if Hackett were to win, he will need to win within 6 rounds. Because if he doesn't, it will end up like the Conor Benn fight, but worse for Hackett. Because he doesn't have as much experience as Conor Benn. But Dobson will start catching Hackett, catching him, and he has enough power that he could 100% knock out an exhausted Hackett. Now, whether or not that's going to happen is a different story. There's a reason why they're giving him Peter Dobson. They think he's going to win, obviously. And if he beats a 16-1 fighter who went the distance with Conor Benn, that would insanely increase his viewership, his fan base, and his marketability, you know? Especially in a stacked division like the welterweight division. But what I'm going off of is that Dobson's experience and Hackett's really no testing of his cardio, I think it will be enough to give Dobson the victory. Like I said, if Hackett doesn't knock him out in 6 rounds, 80 to 90% chance Dobson wins, probably by stoppage. That's what I'm rooting for. That's what I'm going for. That Pistol Pete will get it done by surviving Hackett's early onslaught and taking advantage. But Hackett is the A side for a reason, and if you're going for him, 100% makes sense. 8-0, 7 wins by way of knockout, coming off of a good opponent, 12-1-1, but you never know, you know. But anywho, enough talking about the, I don't even know, co-main event, but whatever, right? This was the only fight I was really interested in besides the Boots Crowley fight, but of course that was canceled because Cody Crowley it might be a pirate. He failed an eye test. But anywho, Boots Jaron Ennis is 31-0 with 28 wins by way of knockout, seen as could have been a future pound-for-pound star, but he is now 27, still young, but he has yet to fight a really good opponent. Obviously, people claim that it's because no one wants to fight him. Is that true? Makes sense. He is kind of like what Terrence Crawford kind of is. A switch hitter, slick boxer with angles and a ton of power. Obviously, a 90% knockout ratio, one of the most powerful power punchers, champions anyways, in boxing. And that says a lot. Although you have, actually he might be because Matias got knocked off, so he might actually be on the top 5 now. But he'll be facing the challenger David Avanesyan, 30-4 with 1 draw, 18 wins by way of knockout, and 2 losses by way of knockout. He is 35, coming off of a 4th round stoppage win over a 11-55-3 opponent. Obviously not the best, but before that he lost to Terrence Crawford via knockout back when Terrence Crawford only held the WBO welterweight championship. Now, of course, before that he has fought some good opponents. Like literally, his only losses, which we'll talk about, is his second fight against a 3-0 fighter, which, you know what, I feel a little weird. And he later went on to be 20-6. Just not bad. What the hell? He lost to Fabian Maidana. Hey, he lost to... Hey, that's nice. But anywho, after that, he went on a humongous win streak where he lost to Lamont Peterson for the WBA Welterweight Championship of the World. He lost via unanimous decision. After that, he lost to the Mean Machine via 6th round stoppage. That was his only other stoppage loss. And of course, everyone else he lost to, well, Terrence Crawford. So the way it goes is simple. He only lost to quite literally the champions and a very good contender at the time. Lamont Peterson, the champion, Mean Machine, the good contender, and of course Terrence Crawford, well, the champion. Now, of course, he is 35, fighting a young and hungry fighter, Jaron Ennis. Why? Because he is looking to make a statement to really be like, look, guys, I'm here to stay. My man, I'm number 1. You should give me money or something, right? You know, pay me more money because I bring the people and I bring action, which he does. Only 3 people ever went decision with him. One of them was Karen Chukachan. I think, my bad for butchering his name, but Karen, who unfortunately was kind of running in the fight, which I think everyone can admit. And before that, oh man, it has been a long while since he got a decision win. Back in 2017, goddamn. As you could tell, he means business. But anywho, who do I got winning? It's not really going to be a competitive fight. Avanesyan, he's coming off of a very bad opponent, and before that, coming off of a pretty bad knockout, and he's 35. It's mostly there for the homecoming event to not be canceled for Jaron Ennis, but it's probably going to be a bad beatdown on the hands of Jaron Ennis. Crowley would have put up a better fight, but then again, he is extremely inactive, so that probably would have came and bit him in the ass. So who do I got winning? It's very easy. Jaron Ennis will most likely beat Avanesyan. You know what? We're going to say it. He's going to make a statement. He knocks him out in 4 rounds. That's right. We're going to say it. He's going to make a statement. He's going to knock him out in before that. I'm not saying that he is weak chin, but he has lost to very good power punchers in Mean Machine and Terrence Crawford. And of course, Jaron Ennis is no exception. And of course, when you look at his other knockouts, they have rarely ever gone past 4 rounds. So I am very confident with this. Okay, except Roy Monvilla, but then again, that dude is a tank. So the fact that, well, then again, he's a tank with kind of bad defense. So everyone knew it was eventually about time that he was going to break. But whatever. Yep, Jaron Ennis, 4th round stoppage. I got Peter Dobson. What did I say? I'm going to say 8th, 9th round stoppage win. Why not? We feel lucky. We feel like it's going to be a very interesting night in boxing, where Jaron Ennis will defend his title and hopefully gets a unification fight. He is on the zone, so maybe they're a lot more lenient with Top Rank and all that stuff, because Mario Barrios is PBC, Brian Norman Jr., which probably will be the future champion because Terrence Crawford is going to... I don't know why he hasn't vacated yet. They're like, oh, I'm going to move up. And he's already talking about, oh, I can't even make 147 anymore. It's super tough. Then vacate the belts. What are you doing? So, of course, Brian Norman Jr. will most likely be the WBO champion, and the WBA champion will, of course, be Emantis Stanionis. Hopefully he gets a unification fight with one of them. Who do I think has the best chance against them? Weirdly enough, Brian Norman Jr. I think he's he really lives up to the name Assassin Number 2, because I think he might be better than the original. But anywho, hope you enjoy this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Instead, they're in there throwing bombs again. That'll do it. Patterson goes down.
I've seen many shots like that. A simple, short shot. Put the fighter down.